is up in the north where they haven't seen the sun for about a month and a half, and they won't see the sun again for another month and a half. So this is going to be some interesting talk here. And my name is Augie, and my co-host Nori, she is still on sabbatical, and she'll be back here after Christmas. So we're gonna look forward to that. We're also transmitting on the Cosmic Awakening Network. And because of them, we are also on Roku, 3 TV stations, and a bunch of other places, and a horde of social media platforms. So we are getting out to the thousands. And before I introduce the guest, I will also tell you how you can connect with us. We are just about everywhere. You can send us a message from everywhere. And also we can, if you go to broadcastteamalpha.com, you can also send us a message from there. I will get it and we will answer you. And by the way, if you are at broadcastteamalpha.com, go into the picture gallery and enjoy yourself for the next 3 weeks, because there is over 5,000 pictures of things that should not exist, but it does. That could turn interesting for you. And if you're watching us on YouTube right now, you're doing the right thing, because that's the best way to see us, because there we're also able to monitor the chat room. And I think Mac's going to help us out there, since multitasking here is not my thing. And while you're there, then just please subscribe and click the bell if you like what we're talking about. And of course, if you don't like it, do it anyway. And I also want to say that Nori and I put together a spiritual think tank where we do some incredible things. It seems like we are reaching into the quantum existence and create out of seemingly nothing sometimes, and it shows up in the physical with us. And there is a way to do that. There's some science behind it, and that's why it works most of the time for us. So if you want to be part of something that is really bigger than yourself, send us an email to themastermindconnection@gmail.com, and I'll get the message and I'll answer you, and maybe you can come and sit in and observe and see if you like it. Anyway, I want to introduce the guest to you. His name is Ande Zombie. And Ande grew up near a small village called Sirmba. It's in the northern part of Norway, right on the Finnish border. And he was raised in a reindeer herding family. And I guess maybe that would be called a Laplander. Probably wouldn't. I'm close on this, and maybe not. And he's also a native Sami, and he speaks the traditional language, and he does a traditional type of folk song called yoiking in that language. And we didn't talk about this, but maybe I could twist his arm and get him to do a little yoiking song for us towards the end of the show too, if he dares to. There's a global audience here. And he'll travel extensively in the United States and Canada, and promoting the cause of indigenous people. And also on his travel to have a little fun, he also do a little singing with the yoiking traditional songs. And to safeguard his heritage, he became a lawyer, and he was teaching law at the law facility at that's the Norwegian Arctic University. And I met him once, I think it was the year 2000, right here in Tucson, because I think he came on an exchange program where he came here to talk about probably, well, it was the law school, so I imagine there were legal issues involved, maybe in indigenous things. I'm going to get him to explain a little more about that? Because then somebody from here probably went to Norway and talked about similar things. And that's how I met him here in Tucson in the year 2000. In fact, we met at a party. It was right on campus at the university. And I found out about him, and then I went there, and we got acquainted, and we decided that we were going to do a TV show. So I invited him on to one of my TV shows that I was doing in Tucson, and we did a show. And now I'm hearing from him that we also have a Swede with us on that show. I don't know what he was doing there, but he was there. So anyway, that was an interesting event, and boy, was it an interesting party where we met too. Some of the students that were there, they got drunk really early in the evening, so they had a lot of fun. And I would then say välkommen till programmet vårt. For those of you that didn't understand that, I welcomed him to our show. Hey, Alde. You can hear me okay?
I can hear you okay.
There you are. Now that's good. That is good. Yeah. I ever so often I still think about that meeting we had here in Tucson, because having somebody from your own country come over to visit, that is a big deal for us Norwegians, or from anybody from their own country. So I really appreciated that you did that TV show with me too, and now we're doing another one.
I'm very happy for that.
Yeah, that's good. That is good. Now, I mentioned earlier that you haven't seen the sun for a while. Then now you moved a little bit further south, I think, now than where you grew up, right?
Yes, I grew up on the 70th latitude. So I moved a little bit south. So now I'm living on 69.84 latitude. We who live in the Arctic, we are very focused on which latitude we are on. So my village where I come from is slightly further north than the city where I live now.
Yeah.
But it's not very much though.
Yeah. But then you are teaching law at that Norwegian Arctic University now, huh?
Yes, we have a faculty of law here, and we teach students. We have approximately 1,000 law students in total in the faculty.
Oh.
And every year, 120 students graduate and become new lawyers and judges and prosecutors and so on. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, when you live that far north and there's total darkness for about 3 months, I mean, sunlight is necessary for us to live. How does that affect you when we don't see the sun?
Well, we live inside a beautiful painting because it's not like totally dark, but we see the sun visiting us, and then we see a lot of beauty in the sky, and the colors really dance there. So it's life full of aesthetic joy to be here. And I think that because we have traditionally this very colorful clothing, Sami clothing, so I have been thinking that it's perhaps these vivid colors that we live inside that are sort of reflected in our in our clothings and in this enjoyment of the aesthetics of being in this time. And it's a wonderful time because it's also a very meditative time. You perceive that the time is not running that fast, so then you can think also through slow thoughts, that you can go deep into a thought and so on. But a little bit unfortunately for us, the people who have been writing about this time, which is called Skama, this it has a name. They are not children of that time. So they have been focusing on the pathological sides of that it creates depressions and so on. But in our view, it creates a kind of meditative consciousness.
Okay, yeah, I bet that helps. That helps to have that. And I see you have the clothing of the Sami, you have the jacket, and you have the three-pointed hat, and you look like the real deal. So that's good. Now, you grew up in a reindeer herding family. Does that also mean that you were moving around the tundra or the prairie up there in the summer in tents, and you lived in tents as you were moving around?
Yes, that's correct.
We lived. So I grew up in a nomadic family, and in the time of summer, we used to move to the coast, because the reindeers they love the salt water and the plants that grow near the coast. So that is the place where all the grass were so tall. So I was in a jungle, and later on I understood that it was because I was so small when
yeah, that would do it.
I was running there. But I have been to beautiful jungles, and I have this gift, this present of life that I memorize from my very early childhood. So I have a memory that I carry, that memory and all these perceptions
That's
and
good.
experiences.
Yeah, I like to get you to talk a little bit about the indigenous people around the world, what they believe in and what they do and so on. But I want to ask you something first, that it's big part of my hunger for knowledge, and that is, when you traveled around the tundra of the northern part of Norway, did you ever see anything in the sky or somewhere, maybe on the ground, that you could not explain or could not be explained by science? I'm thinking UFOs, I'm thinking little people.
Yeah. I have always been a person, and I was, as a child, I was also a person who was walking with spirits. So that meant, in a practical sense, that when I had been playing out and was coming home, then my spirits would arrive first, so that my family would hear that my spirits came there. And then, like 20 minutes later, they would hear the same sounds again, and then it was the physical me that came. I still do that. We call that we have this saying in Sami that there are two things that always follow you in life. The one is the shadow, and the other is the veika. We call it the veika. And the veika you will typically see uh, also when you see your image in the mirror. That's your veika. But in Sami thinking, people can see your veika also in other contexts. So here in October, I was traveling and I was rushing to the airport in Oslo. On my way back to Tromsø, it takes 1.5 hours to fly from Oslo, the capital of Norway, and to Tromsø. And then my brother was also at the airport, and I was in a little bit worried that I wouldn't make it to the plane because the bus was so late. And then my brother called me and said, "So where did you go?" And I said, "Well, I'm still sitting in this bus here." But my brother said that, "But I saw you walking here." And then I said that, oh, how wonderful. That means that my veika, my spirit has been clearing the way for me. So when I come, then I will make it to the plane. And that was exactly what happened. I came in the last minute and I rushed through the security and right into the plane. And I thanked my spirit that had been there clearing the way for me. So it's a very vibrant and
Yeah.
living tradition. So I have three spirits whom I always travel with, and I respect them very much. So I was in Venice this last summer, and
Uh-huh.
I was supposed to be picked up by a water taxi there, and the water taxi came there, and he said that, "So you are alone." And because I respect my spirits, then I said that, well, it's me and my spirits, me and my three spirits here. We are the ones. And he probably took that as a joke, but I used,
Yeah. Did he charge you for three people?
yeah, yeah. I have this perception that people are never as serious as when they are joking.
Yeah, that could be. I'm wondering also, there is a lot of folklore about little people. I mean, these are maybe 30 centimeter tall people or less in the far northern part of the wilderness of Norway, as well also as giants. Have you ever heard anything about these myths that you can talk about or seen one?
Yeah. You know the gatnit, the people under the ground. Sometimes they are little, but other times they are in regular human size.
Mhm.
And they live under the ground, and in Sami tradition we honor them and we are grateful to them for two things. The first thing is that they were the ones who taught us reindeer herding, the art of reindeer herding, the practice of reindeer herding, because they taught us how we should communicate with the reindeers, sort of taught us the human reindeer language. And the other thing that they gave us are the yoiks, the songs. So even today we used to say when people are very good at yoiking, we used to say that this person yoiks as an underground. Uh,
Oh,
first.
okay.
And it's so fun contrast when people really sing beautifully. Then you say that he or she sings like an angel, but we say he or she yoiks like an underground.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that means that you have the power of the earth, the wisdom of the earth,
Mm-hmm.
um, included in the energy of the song.
Yeah. What about the spiritual beliefs of the Sami or the other of or any other indigenous tribe that you can talk about? I know some of them they think they have one god, maybe one have many gods, or it's just somebody like maybe the Native Americans. They talked about nature
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. In our
Tradition, we have almost like the same system as the Greeks that and the Romans, that we have a pantheon of gods, that there is a society of gods,
Mhm.
and that you have to relate yourself to the different gods, the god for hunting, the god for wind, and the god for fertility, and so on. So and then we have this thinking. What is characteristic for our thinking is that we have this idea of transformation, that a human can transform into an animal and then transform back again. Uh, so,
Oh,
so it is almost like, and since we have that, then it becomes a little bit similar. You have heard about the Taoistic monk who
yeah.
was saying that last night I dreamt that I was a butterfly. And now I don't know whether I'm a butterfly who's dreaming that I'm a human. So you have this, you have
Yeah.
this, and that is so helpful for example, for empathy, because the moment you don't really know in deeply, you don't know whether you are only a human, or if you are a wolf, a mosquito, a human, and all the species, because that creates empathy. For you think then, what will the mosquito in me say to this, and what
Mhm.
will the wolf in me say to that, and what about the the trout? What will it say?
Yeah. Yeah. What are
So
they? What are your spiritual practice? Are they anything that they believe happens after we drop the body or after we die? What do they see happen afterwards?
well, we have like five um, worlds that we travel, and the shaman used to travel between these worlds, and give messages, and so on.
Mhm.
But we have this spiritual belief that you always have spirits around you. So for example, I travel a lot, and it means that I come into a new hotel room, and the first thing I used to do when I opened the hotel room, then I would used to say that, hello, my name is Ante, and I will be staying here for 2 nights. And then I tell what kind of seminar or meeting I'm there for, and then I say and I come with peace, and I'm also very interested in a peaceful relationship with the spirits who are here in this room. But if you need to talk to me, then you are most welcome to do that. And then I used to, because I can never know if somebody was raped in that hotel room, or if somebody was killed there, or if bad things happened there in that room. So this little everyday ritual used to sort of clean the air, and then I also get the space for my spirits who are traveling with me, that they get along with the spirits that are already in the room, and maybe some of those spirits are a little bit traumatized. So but I used to think about spirits that it's almost like with fellow human beings, that if you don't deliver attention and care, then the energy will be bad.
Yeah.
But as long as you are conscious about that, you talk to the spirits and you ask if things are okay, then the energy will be very much better. So it means that these shamanistic traditions, they are, it is possible, and it's also good to bring them into the very high-tech world where you have airports and hotels and computers and everything else. So and I think that attitude to life that the spirits carry with them is a very
Yeah.
good
I
thing.
think also that the spirits that may be in that hotel room, they also have adjusted to the hotel room, the airports, and the technology is somewhat. So they have also learned a few things while they were in spirit forms. So they are better to understand when you talk about technology, possibly, or these things. And chances are they've been around for a very long time. I know they're there because in the house here, I see them. We have something called shadow people. I see them right off the 90 degrees here on the eyes. When I look over there, they're gone. But I can see them. They're kind of like tall shadows. I see them moving around a little bit. I know they're there, and you can talk to them.
Yes, you can, and they can be very helpful also. For
Yeah.
example, with me, who is pretty confident with them. So I was in a hotel room, and then a cable started to sort of move by itself, and then I noticed that well, my cell phone was running out of the battery was running out of my cell phone. So then I thanked the spirit. I said that, oh, thank you so much, because if you hadn't alerted me that I had to charge my phone, then I wouldn't have noticed that. So they are very helpful, but your part of the deal is to see them and to talk with them, and to, so like me with the water taxi there, that you have to also to stand up for them
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. They could use that. They could use help too. We're not the
Yeah,
only ones that need help.
Yeah, that's for
But
sure.
I see now we are at the bottom of the hour, and for those of you that joined us late, we are talking with Ande Zombie. He is from the northern part of Norway. He is a Sami, and he grew up in a reindeer herding family. And we're having story time because this is interesting. We got on the subject of spirituality and spirit. And Norway is full of those traditions and the stories about it. So we are having a little bit of that. And stay with us. And if you like what you hear, just make sure you click the subscribe button and the bell next to it. And the super chat is open. So we also appreciate you if you will support us there. So thank you. Now, I got one more question before we get into the indigenous people and their plight and what can be done to help them. And that is that now you have been out in nature an awful lot. Did you ever see anything in the sky that shouldn't be there? Something flying around without wings or anything?
Yeah, we have night skies with zero light pollution. So when we, for example, take a walk, then you see the night sky. So and there are things moving there, and there are also old stories about things moving there. So that move in a different way than other bodies of the sky, but they have been there maybe from the time before us, and they will maybe be there in the time after that we humans have been visiting this planet.
Yeah.
So so that is a natural thing. And there are of course some favorite places, for example the little village Angel, that is almost called Angel Angel. It's further up in the river, because I live next to a big river, and further up in the river there is this little village Angel, and Angel is known for that they have also a little closer contact with these things who are doing their work, we think.
Yeah, there's always work to do. And for the benefit of the ones that join us late, you are living in a part of the world where it's 3 months of total darkness. There is no sunlight. But then again, in the summer, you don't have any dark. You got all sunlight. And I have been up there in the northern part of the country. I've seen the midnight sun. The sun goes down to the horizon, just stay there for a little bit and come right back up again. It is quite a sight. And for the benefit of the flat earthers, I would say, how can you explain that? Why does the sunlight is that 24 hours a day? Oh yeah, the sun stops, I imagine, on the other side, and then it's just, okay, that's it, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, I just couldn't help it. I had to do that.
Yeah.
And now, there are other tribes that you have visited with, and there are plights around the world. There are a lot of discrimination. And in fact, when I grew up back in Norway, I read about those things things that happen to other people, like the gypsies. They're still discriminated enormously of them. If they leave Romania and go into Germany, they are treated like second-hand people. And then South America, the same way. There is places in the jungle where the native or the indigenous people are being exterminated en masse. And then they burn the forest down, so the survivors have nowhere to go. What can be done to help these people?
Well, I was sent to a boarding school when I was 12 years old. And I became so angry there. So I got the two callings in life that I have been following. The one calling was that because at that time it was a risk that our traditional songs would disappear. And I thought that, well, they might disappear, but they will not disappear in my watch.
Yeah.
So I will be here for the songs. And the second thing was that I was so angry because I had to leave my village and my home and into the bureaucracy of a boarding school. So I decided that I will become a lawyer because nobody makes trouble with a lawyer. And from then, from those decisions, I also became focused on law, and indigenous law has been the subject that I have been researching on and I have been teaching in. Because I think that law is sort of the thing that that one can try to solve the most difficult problems in a peaceful way, that we don't end up killing each other and being killed. So I think that even if law is not perfect, so then law is what we can have. And therefore I used to teach law every day and also attend international indigenous seminars and teach indigenous politicians about indigenous law and showing them how that instrument can work and how one can be when one can be optimistic and when one has to be a little bit pessimistic and so on. So I think that law is the floor of civilization. If you go further down than law, then you are not a civilization anymore. And civilization is the thing that we humans can give to each other and give to the generations that come after us.
Yeah.
So
I think the law creates the society. That gives them the floor to build a society on. And you mentioned that it is not perfect. As of today, there is no such thing as a perfect law in any country, but there is a law, and that is natural law. That is probably as close to perfect, unless you twist it by interpretation. It should be as close to perfect law as you could get. Am I on to something here, or is it?
Yeah, you know, natural law is very interesting. And I used to test my students. I used to tell them a story. I used to say that, well, as I'm lecturing for you here, then there is this little fly in the window. And I catch that little fly. And then I rip a leg out of the little fly. And then I say, is it okay? The thing is that at least in Norwegian legislation, flies are not protected by law. In contrast to animals are protected by law, that you can't have cruelty against animals, but you can have cruelty against insects. And then I used to ask the students, is that okay? Or does this little fly have some integrity that I can't violate? Does such a little being have some dignity and integrity, something that I can't violate? And that is sort of the the Sami way of thinking about integrity, that the natural law implies that everything has integrity, even this little fly that was so unfortunate ended up in this window where I was lecturing.
Now that brings up a subject that we need to think about. There are other creatures that do not have rights at all. And even plants, and like that fly, of course, in the summer, there's so many of them, you can't, it would not be enforceable to even do this. But of course, now, of course, with all the spraying from the sky and the chemtrails and everything, there aren't that many flies left. But on the other hand, we should, I have been known to, if I find a bee in the house, I catch her or just kind of usher her towards the door instead of killing her. So we should be more concerned about this.
Sure, in the Sami tradition, we have, for example, a special relationship with the spiders. For one thing, to have a spider is almost like having a cat. That the spider takes care of the mosquitoes and the flies in the house. But we also have in our tradition that because we have been living so far north, and then it's easy to travel on snow. So then people have been coming to our villages and rob us, both in the first in the winter time and then also in the summertime. And then there is this story about a little boy who is caught by these robbers, and then he runs and tries to hide in a little stone cave, and there comes the spider and makes a net, so that the robbers do not believe that there is somebody there. And since that story, then there is a peace treaty between our Sami people and the spider. So every time we have a spider in the house, if one is annoyed by the spider, then one takes the spider on a paper and carries it out and says to the spider, "Thank you so much for visiting, and we are still grateful for that you helped us that time." So it's a ritual that we used to practice.
That's good. That is good. Yeah. And imagine there are, when I mentioned the South American tribes that is being exterminated. Have you looked into that and maybe some of the causes? Well, we know the causes are probably profit, but what can you say about that?
Yeah, the only thing that we as lawyers can do is that we can come with the human rights, the human rights apparatus, and that's not a small thing to have, because it can make a difference even in pretty brutal societies. That, for example, companies will often be dependent on their reputation. So if the reputation is stained by human rights violations down the road, then companies can be sensitive for that, and governments can be sensitive for that. So I used to think that shame is such an important part of civilization, because if you own shame, then you carry the most basic and important norms, the norms that we are taught when we are in the kindergarten and when we are small, that we shall keep, we shall respect others' physical dignity, and that we shall keep our promises, and so on. That's what we learn at the age of 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, but you being in Norway, and in order to implement the Human Rights Treaty of 1966, I know Brazil did sign on to that Human Rights Treaty, and I think Norway did. So I think there's a way to implement that and enforce that. If you can have the evidence at the other end that there were violations, you can take it through, in fact, bring up that jurisdiction, take it to both the United Nations, which is basically just a talking club, but you can also enforce something through Interpol. This is difficult to do, but do you think something like that could be done?
Yes, because human rights and law are the only civilized instruments that we have, but they are vulnerable. For example, in Norway, we now have a very unfortunate situation, and that is that the Norwegian government was found in violation of human rights. The Convention on Civil and Political Rights, as you say, ratified in 1966. And then the Norwegian Supreme Court found that the government was in violation. And it's almost 2 years has passed since the decision was made. And the government has still not enforced what it was about. It was about some windmills that were, they tried to convince people that windmills are so green and friendly for the environment. But the truth is that they leak a lot of poisonous oil into the ground, and you have to build a lot of roads, and where were the minerals taken from? So if you make a calculus of how green they are, then they are not green at all. So we have like 217 windmills that were built on a reindeer herding land, and then that was litigated in the court system, and the Norwegian Supreme Court concluded that
there were violations.
It was a violation, and still the government has not enforced them. And we are so much. It is a crisis in our society, because we have been living under the myth that we have a society that is based on rule of law. But now, now we are questioning more and more that are we living in a society that is ruled by its rule of lobby, that's determining that these windmills, these 247 windmills, still are standing and rolling 2 years after the Norwegian Supreme Court found that they were in violation. But I think that even if we have this type of crises, then law is the instrument that we can try to talk through and try to see. So I think that the new administration in Brazil is not as bad as the former administration both against nature and against the indigenous peoples.
Yeah.
So there is also, even if the situation is dark, then there is also hope. Like we have this time of darkness now, but we see a lot of beautiful colors in the
Yeah.
sky.
Mm-hmm. I think also that that is a functional government, because when the government gets caught doing something illegal, nothing happens, and nobody goes to jail. Whoever does it within government should be sent to prison because they stepped beyond their delegated authority, and that is a crime which they have to answer for. Well, they should, but it doesn't, because the concept that when everybody is responsible for everything, ultimately nobody is responsible for anything. That's
Yeah,
where we are.
that is a crisis that we are in. So so but
let
since
me let me ask you something. You being a lawyer, when you look at what governments are doing around the world, they're screwing up everything they touch. People are being violated right and left, murdered right and left. I think government have had their chance. They should be done away with. There should be a resource management system emerging to take their place, and then leave people alone to do their own thing with unlimited possibility of, like it says in the Constitution of the United States of America, that, pursuit of happiness. What do you think of that one?
yes, that would be but as we are configured, then there will always be strong and weak people.
Yeah.
And if the strong ones are very happy, then it doesn't imply automatically that the weak ones also are happy.
Yeah.
So somehow we need a kind of an organized society, and the best thing that we have in the moment is that we have rules that govern. Rules are based on texts that are written on paper, and as we speak now, then we are in a very interesting time of transition, that the the systems are changing, like the artificial intelligence is knocking on humanity's door,
Yeah.
and we don't know what the implications could be. Maybe they could be very beautiful, maybe they can be very ugly, but that is something that we have to step into, and perhaps something will happen with the rules that are not written on paper, but are in this in a different system. So maybe, for example, the rule of uniformity, that everybody should be treated identical. It can be a matter of information economy, that we have just so much paper that we can
Yeah.
write on, but if we then get more space to write on, then there could be particular rules for that are adjusted to you, and particular rules that are adjusted to me, like tailored, that we would be step out of
Yeah.
conviction that
Yeah.
everybody are uniformed, that everybody has a
Yeah.
tailored system. But we don't know what's coming. But it could be that something like that will appear, and then we will have to think about and try to find good ways, so that it shall be nice to be a human. And for I
Yeah.
personally think that it also should be nice to be a mosquito.
Yeah, there you go. And I think, though, that we need to think ahead on this one, because if the AI gets ahead of us, then we could be done for, like that has happened other places in space. So, and when we are thinking about this now, and the natives American, the natives Europeans, the gypsies and the Cossacks and the South American Indians and everywhere, they are living a lot closer to the earth. They have shamans to guide their both spiritual and physical existence into something that is much better than what we have. Look at what we have. If you go to the grocery store, 90% of all the food in the grocery store did not exist 100 years ago. And 90% of all the diseases in the world did not exist 100 years ago. There's a connection there, because we are being fed poisons and crap that we should not, it doesn't qualify to be food. When you buy a hamburger at some, I shouldn't say the name, I get sued, but buy a hamburger at a fast food place and leave it in the cabinet for 2 years, and you take it out and it's fresh, you can eat it. What in the world was done to it? This is one thing that is unknown to the indigenous people. They live much more healthier. And that is probably also why they live longer, don't you think?
You know, the relationship to food is very important, because we can also look at food as a kind of communication. We communicate through food, and in an indigenous context, you know which animal and which plant you get this meal from. And when you know that, then you also are able to send the gratitude to the plant, to the animal. We have this story that, for example, between the reindeer and the reindeer herder. It's in the Sami dream time, in our dream time, when animals and humans have the same language. And then the reindeer says that, I know that my destiny is to carry all this meat. But the wolf is tearing me so badly apart, and I have to die in fear. So
Yeah.
if you promise me two things, that I give the most expensive thing that I have, which is my life, and in that, therefore, you have to use everything that I leave behind me. You have to use it to something useful. So we used to eat the meat. We used to make things out of the bones. We used to make thread of the seams and clothes of the skin, and so on. And the antlers are used. So, and every time we use, then we sort of pay back this debt that we have to the reindeer. And also that when a reindeer is killed, it shall never have fear.
Yeah.
It shall be a friendly but a very quick process.
Yeah.
So, and it is this dilemma that because I don't understand that with my head, that because we live in a principle, in a merciless principle, that the merciless, that we have to consume something in order to be alive. And to be a predator that is sorry for killing is such a destiny that we as humans, we have that. And we have to organize that pain, that sorrow. And we can do that in different ways. This met me, I was like 5, 6 years old. And then my parents woke me up because I was crying. And then they asked me, "What are you crying?" And I said that I'm crying because I dreamt that we were killing all the small reindeer calves that are just born. And they said that, no, and we are not killing any reindeer calves. But as the time went on and the time for slaughtering came, then the reindeer calves were killed. But I have been thinking a lot about that because I was sort of maybe preparing myself for that because we have to, since we have this, we live in this human body and we have to consume something, then we have to be in that situation, and then we can organize that by knowing what we eat. We have this thinking that you become what you eat. So if you eat clean and you process your food with love, then the love will sort of follow the food, and it will be followed to the person who gets that. So so it's we have a lot of thinking about
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Well, I see we are down to the end of the show here. This was fun, Andy. I'm glad you came on so we could have this talk. This was
Thank you
good.
so much for having me.
Yeah, this was good. And for those of you out there listening now, just come on back next week and we're going to have another good show for you. And I thank you very much, Andy, for being with us. And I'll send you a link here as soon as we get it all formatted for you. Thank you very much.